So where we're starting off our general term is we start off at Boston College with a rollover. We're expanding what this actually is going to do for us. Today, we roll over the sections themselves, as well as the instructors, and then some minimal, just the times that those courses are going to occur. Well, in the moving forward, we're also rolling over the entire schedule so that the starting point for departments will be containing their whole schedule that they had in the previous year, with the ability to do some manipulation of that themselves. Right here is an example of our initial rollover screen that we would be setting up. We have our source term of fall of 2018 going into the target of fall of 2021. If I wanted to, we have configured this already. I can change my global environment settings on some of the different items that we want to be included in this rollover that we could actually configure with each rollover. We have it set to what we would like it at this point, but can be configured to make adjustments without needing to go in and do a massive development to make those adjustments. I have actually already ran this rollover. So I'm gonna go in and we're taking a look at the, so it saves the context of where we were most recently. I was most recently working in physics, but we're going to look at the entirety of Boston College for this. So we see some items. We have four different levels of what a course it contains. And I'm going to get into that in a second. And then you will see a number of the different rollovers that we have run. Things like the changing of state and the final exams are also something that are worked through these rollover services, where we can apply these changes to all of the offerings that are contained with them. And then we get some feedback on that afterwards. So I'm going to go and take a look at the results of the rollover that we ran. And like I mentioned prior, while these are loading, we have 4 levels to our course. We have the course, which is the historically the catalog view, where we are setting up this course, adding the description and some of the academic foundation of it. That then feeds into the course offering, which is that course offered in a term. Now, all of the sections and the different ways that that course can be consumed are in the format offering here and the sections, the activity offerings. So a course offering, there will be one course offering for, we have Math 1100, which is Calc 1. There's only one course offering for that. And then it is broken into a number of formats and a number of different activity offerings or sections that are all that are all held beneath that parent item of the course offering. So this is the results of our rollover. We get a sense of, we had 1,831 courses that were offered in this term. We skipped a number of them, and we'll see why in a second. Within that, we had a number of format offerings, but you'll notice we had nearly 3,700 sections. So courses like Calc 1100 may have 22 or 25 sections of that calculus course. So which is why this number is much, much bigger. We have a number of other items here that that can all tell us something, but this is much more of a back-end screen to make sure that the rollover worked effectively and did what we wanted. As we look at the results down below, we'll notice the reasons why a number of these items were skipped. We see here that this field education and social work was canceled in the prior term, so it's not going to roll over and be part of this. If we just the cross listing for this course is no longer actually an item. The grading option ID. So someone changed how grading options worked. So that one became an invalid option. So it is not doing a pure copy from the previous term. It is actually taking a look at each of these courses at the course level and evaluating whether or not they can still be offered in the same way that it was prior, and then provide us with some additional information for, at first, the person in charge of the rollover, who for us is our CAS, the Central Administrative Scheduler, can go in and take a first pass. And then we can also offer all of this information department specific, so that they know the starting point of the courses that they need to go in and make sure are valid. But you'll also notice here that this Wisdom Literature course was actually expired. This course was retired. So when it went back to look at that, it is not going to create it in the new term. So after we've gone through the rollover steps here, we're actually going to go in and take a look as if we were a department here. Now, a lot of this will be defaulting for department administrators. Right now, I'm in as a super user, but we can see we're going to take a look at physics and our physics department. So we see we have our physics here, and we're going to get a list of these are the course offerings that are offered in the physics department right now. So we see everything that they will be offering. Now there may be a number of sections underneath any of these, but at this course offering level, we do see different sorts of information. This course has a history component to it as well, history cross-listing for it. Physics 1500 is continuing into 1501. So some higher level just information. And these are very configurable. We can write a rule to make sure that we show this for any of the different things that we want identified. And these indicators can actually be used at any level of this kind of course hierarchy, either a course offering, a format offering, or an activity offering. From here, we have very flexible searching, where we can go in and type ahead filtering and searching. We can do this for states in any of these different fields. We can also do an indicator search right here, so I can get all of the ones that are cross-listed or continued and sort by this list. I'm going to clear this off, and we're actually going to go in and create a new course offering. This is one that I went in and added to our catalog earlier today. So we're adding a bunch more, a lot more courses to Boston College around the sciences. So we're going to go with, and we're going to be adding dynamic systems. So here we get a screen. These are all of the different fields that we've already defined at the curriculum level, at our catalog. These are giving us all the defaults, but now that we are offering it, any options here, like we could offer this for everybody as pass-fail instead, these things we can configure at the course offering level as well. The course level sets the defaults, and the offering is where we can manipulate and use the additional options that we've provided for ourselves. So once I've gone in and created that, I'm going to scroll down my list and see dynamic systems, see that it is cross-listed with math 3025, and is actually continuing. It will continue into physics 3450. Once we've actually gone in and established this at the course offering level, we're going to go in and take a look at the sections. Now, the first thing that I want to show is at the format offering level, we are offering how this course can be consumed. So one of the ways that this course can be taken is a lecture only, or we've also defined it that it could be taken as a lecture and a lab. Whichever one of these options I choose, that is basically how the student is going to be consuming this specific course. Now I can add a registration restriction at this level if I would like. And so anyone consuming it in that way can will be required to be a grad or a junior or or a freshman. What we can configure those to however we want that restricted to the entire course. So I'm going to go forward, and now I have this lecture lab. I'm going to add a new section of this. I'm going to start off with the lecture component. We are again given a number of the configurable options with the, I'm going to put in a max enrollment now, but I can also do that at a later level. And I'm going to save this and create this. So now I have section 1 is going to be a lecture, but we'll notice I don't yet have an instructor assigned with it. I don't have a schedule. I'm also going to add a lab. And I'm not going to put max enrollment here at this point. So what we have done, here we have some inline editing that we can use. And what we have done is given a way for us, these both need to be taken at the, in order to fulfill the physics 3025 requirement. Now, instead of going in and creating, going through the create process for each of these, I'm going to copy this lab section, And we'll see, I now have a lecture in 2 labs. So as we'll see later in registration, when I select this lecture, those 2 labs will be available for me to select. If I created an additional format here that was separate from these, I can create another lecture and several labs that cannot be combined together. So it's a way for us to restrict which labs are associated with which lectures. Previously, we had done these all as their own course numbers and needed to make them co-requisites. And then we were doing some manual double checks to make sure that students were registering for all the correct components. So at the time of registration, having them select all of these things is going to add a lot of value for us. I'm also going to go in and add an instructor to this. We can go with a typical instructor that's within our database. We can go with a teaching instructor, which is also in our person service, and the teaching assistants would not be people that would roll over. Or in this situation, because it's a new course, and I don't actually know I have an idea of who may be teaching it, but they're not in our system yet, I can actually go in and assign an instructor here. And what you can notice is, so this right here has a temporary instructor. We have an indicator to call this out. And later on, when we change the states of all of these, when we try to move this from draft to planned or planned to published, we will get alerts in that same rollover screen that we saw previously. We'll get notifications of, here are the things you wanted to identify that weren't in the ideal finished state before you moved on to the next state. And we can have a verify situation set up for those to make sure that we have identified everything that needs to be done before we move everything into a published state for students. So those are a number of the different things. We have a lot more flexibility. This is really just a couple of the first steps. We then have items to go on and schedule all of these and department managements of these scheduling. We can go on and throw restrictions, which is for the entire section level, or we can build it into seat pools, which are a subset of each of these. I can designate half of the seats in a specific course for seniors and half of them for juniors, so that all of the seniors who have priority registration are not taking up all of the seats that are out there. And we can divide that by majors or anything else. So those are really the items that I wanted to highlight and cover around course setup. So with that, I am actually going to stop here, and we will turn this over to Jen.